Hello, Algebra 1 students. In the last lesson, we looked at the zero product property and how to use it to solve quadratics by using their factors. Today, we're going to continue working on that topic. We will be dealing with slightly more advanced quadratic functions. If you need a review on how to factor or how to use the zero product property, please look back and review lessons 5, 7, and 14 before beginning today's lesson. Just a reminder of how to use the zero product property, we had 3 steps. First, how to make sure that the equation was equal to 0. That allowed us to use the zero product property. Second was to factor the quadratic into 2 factors. And finally, set each factor equal to 0 and solve for x. We will do 3 examples to review this today. In our first equation, we first need to make sure that the equation is set equal to 0. This one is. So the second step is to factor. When you factor this equation, the quadratic will factor to 5x minus 3 and x minus 1. Now we need to set each of those factors equal to 0 and solve for x. So for the first factor, 5x minus 3, I set it equal to 0, then added 3 to both sides, and then divided by 5. My first solution is x equals 3 over 5. The second factor, x minus 1, I set equal to 0, added 1 to both sides, and my second solution was x equals 1. So this quadratic has 2 solutions, x equals to 3 over 5, and x is equal to 1. Here's our second example. First, make sure that the equation is equal to 0. Unfortunately, this one is not, but it needs to be, so I am going to make the right side of the equation equal to 0 by subtracting 6 from both sides. I'll subtract 6 minus 6, which is 0, and 4 minus 6, which is negative 2. I subtracted the negative 6 from the 4 because they are like terms. Now I can go ahead and factor that quadratic. That quadratic will factor to 3x minus 2 and 2x plus 1. Set each of those factors equal to 0 and solve. For the first factor, I'll add 2 to both sides and then divide by 3. X will equal 2 over 3. For the second factor, I'll subtract 1 from both sides and then divide both sides by 2. X will equal negative 1/2. Don't forget, most quadratics have 2 solutions. This quadratic has the solutions 2/3 and negative 1/2. Here's our last example for the day. First, make sure that the equation is equal to 0. This one is, so we can factor. This quadratic is a perfect square trinomial, so it factors 2x plus 5, 2x plus 5. Since those factors are exactly the same, I only really need to solve one. 2x plus 5 equals 0. Subtract the 5 from both sides, then divide by 2, and I get x equals negative 5 over 2. Well, hold on. We've been talking about how quadratics have 2 solutions. Where's the second solution for this quadratic? This is actually one of the special cases where it will only have one solution. We won't get into a lot of details, but if you notice the graph of this quadratic only hits the x-axis once, right here at the bottom of the graph. That is why this one only had one solution. They are rare, but they do happen. For just a recap of today, we reviewed the zero product property and how to use it to solve equations. We also looked at a rare case of having only one solution. If you have any questions, please go back and review this video.